Why do you think it will finally change? I mean, many people have been working on this for decades now. Right?
Yeah.
Why do you think the change will happen?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I hope it will happen. I wouldn't be quite so presumptuous and say this is absolutely what will happen. But you're absolutely right. I mean, people have been writing about this and talking about this for centuries almost. I mean, people like, Dewey addressed this initially, and from there you had individuals such as, I guess, Piaget picked up the emphasis on some sense of individualization and adaptation in the education system. More recently, you've had people like Seymour Papert that have similarly suggested we need to be creators. We can't simply be consumers of this type of information. I think what's different today, and I'm not 100% convinced it will be, the final tipping point, but I think there's several things. First of all, the current economic concerns are forcing a rethink of the model that we have. There's a recognition that, and this is, Ivan Illich addressed this in 1970s, early 70s with his text as well, that there's the education system, the funding costs of the education system are so enormous that there has to be a breaking point. And so we're now facing certainly issues around the suitability, the funding approaches to this kind of a system, and realizing that it's perhaps not working as well as it could, especially considering the outcomes that we're generating. So there's that sense of a climate of change. There's fertile soil for change right now. We didn't have in the 80s when everything was sort of going well. We didn't have that same sense of need for change, that urgency.
So are you saying it starts hurting?
Well, I mean, I've heard it said that we change when it hurts less to change than it does to stay the same.
Right.
So I'm not sure if that's quite where we're at, but I think there are some combination. I mean, financial is one, the globalization overall, the rise of other countries that are increasingly competitive with what we at one point held to be sort of the domain of Western society largely. We're starting to see that other countries are being innovative and aggressive and competing, and we need to change our approaches. But again, I'm starting to become almost a technological determinist, and my view is that in many regards, the development of technology, especially those that enable us to connect with others, to be social with others, that can partly create and recreate some of the experiences that we have in physical environments. The inclusion of haptic devices, touch-based computing, the generation of analytics, particularly around visualization, these do change the educational process. And so we have a unique condition where we have a very fertile soil, but in other periods where we've had fertile soil for reform, we haven't necessarily had the tools to enact the change that we conceived. But now, as I stated earlier, we've distributed control to a sort of a network function. And with that distribution of control, responsibility has been distributed as well. And so I think that combination of factors may prove to be significant for reform.